It started subtly. Flickering lights in the house, doors creaking open when the windows were closed, that sort of thing. I chalked it up to the old wiring, the settling foundation, the generally dilapidated state of the house. I mean, it was a steal for a reason. A 3-bedroom colonial on 5 acres for under $200K? There had to be a catch. And there was, just not the kind I expected. The real weirdness began about a month after I moved in. I'd be sitting in the living room, reading, and I'd hear what sounded like someone talking upstairs. Muffled, indistinct, but definitely human. At first, I figured it was just the wind whistling through the old window frames, playing tricks on my ears. But it kept happening. Every few nights, the same low murmur, always coming from the second floor. I started sleeping with a baseball bat beside my bed. Then came the nights I swore I could smell pipe tobacco. My grandfather used to smoke it, a rich, sweet aroma that always reminded me of him. But he'd been gone for years, and I definitely didn't smoke. The scent would waft through the house, strongest near the staircase, then dissipate as quickly as it arrived. I started losing sleep, lying awake listening for the murmurs, sniffing the air for the phantom tobacco. I even went to the local historical society, hoping to find some information about the previous owners. The house had been built in the late 1800s, originally owned by a family named Whitman. The archivist, a kindly old woman with a perpetual air of dust, managed to dig up some old census records and tax forms. The Whitmans were reclusive, she said, adjusting her glasses. Lived here for generations, kept to themselves. The last of them, an elderly gentleman named Arthur Whitman, passed away in the house about 20 years ago. No relatives, no will. The town seized the property for back taxes. I asked if she knew anything about Arthur. Just that he was eccentric, she replied, tapping a long fingernail on a faded document. Kept to himself, as I said. Some folks said he was a bit of a hoarder. Never threw anything away, and that he was always talking to himself. Talking to himself. That stuck with me. One Saturday, fueled by too much coffee and a desperate need for answers, I decided to tackle the attic. I'd been avoiding it. The door at the top of the stairs was warped and splintered, plastered over with layers of peeling paint. It just felt wrong. I grabbed a flashlight and a crowbar, and after a solid 10 minutes of wrestling with the door, I finally managed to pry it open. The air that rushed out was thick with dust and the smell of decay. The attic was vast and dark, the only light filtering through cracks in the boarded-up windows. Cobwebs hung like ghostly curtains. It was exactly what you'd expect of an old, untouched attic. Rusted tools, moth-eaten furniture, stacks of yellowed newspapers tied with twine. But something felt different. A heavy stillness hung in the air, a sense of watching. I spent hours up there, sifting through the Whitmans' discarded lives. Old photographs, letters, diaries filled with cryptic entries. It was fascinating, and unsettling. I found an old gramophone, its brass tarnished green, and a stack of wax cylinders. Curiosity piqued, I carefully cleaned the gramophone and placed one of the cylinders on the spindle. The needle crackled to life, and a voice, thin and scratchy, filled the attic. The boundaries blur, the voice said. It was low, gravelly, definitely male. The veil thins. They whisper, closer now. I froze, my blood turning to ice. Who was this? What was he talking about? I listened to the rest of the cylinder. It was filled with similar ramblings, fragmented thoughts, half-formed sentences, all spoken in the same unsettling voice. I tried another cylinder, and another. They were all the same, filled with the same cryptic, disturbing monologues. Then I found a cylinder that sent a jolt of pure terror through me. The ritual must be completed, the voice said, clearer now, almost desperate. The blood, the incantation, they hunger. I ripped the cylinder off the gramophone, my hands shaking so violently I nearly dropped it. Ritual? Blood? Hunger? This was beyond creepy. This was something else entirely. I spent the next few days researching Arthur Whitman. I scoured the internet, digging through old newspaper archives, online forums, anything I could find. I learned that he had been a local oddity, a recluse who dabbled in the occult. There were whispers of strange gatherings at the house, of chanting and strange symbols painted on the walls. The more I learned, the more convinced I became that I had stumbled onto something truly sinister. Something I didn't understand, but knew I needed to stop. I considered leaving, selling the house and running. But I couldn't. I felt a responsibility, a morbid curiosity that wouldn't let me go. I had to know what Arthur Whitman had been up to. I went back to the attic. This time, I knew what I was looking for. I started searching for anything that might shed light on the ritual he mentioned on the cylinder. After hours of searching, I found it. Tucked away in a dusty corner, hidden beneath a pile of old blankets, was a wooden box. Inside the box was a book. A thick, leather-bound tome, its pages filled with strange symbols and indecipherable text. It was written in a language I didn't recognize, but the illustrations were disturbing enough. Drawings of grotesque creatures, of people performing bizarre rituals, of symbols that seemed to vibrate with an unholy energy. This was it. This was Arthur Whitman's grimoire. His book of spells. I started translating the book, using online resources and obscure occult dictionaries. It was slow, painstaking work, but I managed to decipher some of the passages. They described rituals for summoning something ancient and malevolent, something that required blood, the boundaries blurring, the veil thinning. It all started to make sense. Arthur Whitman was trying to open a doorway to another dimension. And then I found it. The ritual, the one he mentioned on the cylinder. It was long and complex, involving a specific incantation, a specific set of symbols, and a sacrifice. The sacrifice wasn't human. Thank God. It was an animal, a black cat, to be exact. I shuddered. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. Not really. But the book was so detailed, so specific, it felt real. And the fact that I had been hearing his voice, smelling his tobacco, all of it pointed to something beyond the realm of explanation. I needed to destroy the book. Burn it. Erase any trace of Arthur Whitman's madness. But before I could, I noticed something else in the box. A small, metal object. A microphone. It was old, probably from the same era as the gramophone. But it was still functional. I connected it to my laptop and started recording. I cleared my throat. This is me, I said, my voice trembling slightly. I'm recording this in the attic of the Whitman house. I've found some things. Things I don't understand. Things that are disturbing. I described everything I had found. The cylinders, the book, the rituals. I spoke for hours, pouring out my fears and anxieties into the microphone. As I talked, I felt a strange sense of relief. As if by articulating my fears, I was somehow diminishing their power. I stopped recording, exhausted. I saved the file, labeled it Whitman Tape, and closed my laptop. Then I picked up the book, ready to consign it to the flames. That's when I heard the voice. It wasn't coming from the gramophone. It wasn't coming from the cylinders. It was coming from everywhere. It was Arthur Whitman's voice, but it was different. Stronger. More resonant. Thank you, the voice said. You have done well. I dropped the book, my heart pounding in my chest. I looked around the attic, but there was no one there. You have opened the door, the voice continued. You have prepared the way. I didn't understand what was happening. Then I realized. The microphone, the recording, the act of speaking the words, of describing the rituals, of reliving Arthur Whitman's obsession. I had inadvertently completed the ritual. I had become the catalyst. The air in the attic shimmered. A dark, swirling vortex opened in the corner of the room. From within, shapes emerged. Grotesque, inhuman shapes. Creatures of nightmare. They were here, because of me. I don't know what happened after that. I remember screaming, running, stumbling down the stairs and out of the house. I haven't been back since. I'm writing this from a motel room in a town 100 miles away. I don't know what to do. I'm terrified. I can still hear the voice in my head, whispering promises of power and knowledge. I think I'm being followed. I keep seeing shadows out of the corner of my eye, hearing whispers in the wind. I don't know how much time I have left. If you're reading this, please, learn from my mistakes. Don't go looking for answers you're not prepared to find. Some doors are better left closed. And if you ever find yourself in the Whitman house, just run. Just run and never look back.